In our last multiplication video, we talked about TEKS 4.4b, 4.4c, and 4.4d. We talked about reviewing multiplication with our students since they already learned about multiplication in 3rd grade, so reviewing arrays and simple area models. And then we talked about introducing multiplying by 10 and 100 and multiples of 10 and 100. And then finally we talked about how to solve 2 by 1, 3 by 1, 4 by 1, and 2 by 2 multiplication problems using base 10 arrays and area models. So today we're going to start with area models, but then we're going to link them to partial products, and then we're going to link partial products to the standard algorithm. Okay? So let's start out with the problem 437 times 6. Now, students will have been working with the area model for a few days now, so that is the first thing I want them to do. So I want them to go ahead and create that area model. My area model doesn't look really good. So I'm going to create the area model, and we're going to break up 437 into its values. So 400 plus 30 plus 7, and we're multiplying all of that by 6. Okay, so we are going to do our multiplication, and I'm going quickly through this one because we learned about this in the last video. And we're going to get our correct answer. I should get 2,622. Okay. All right. I don't like that marker, so let's pick a different one. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about partial products then. So we're going to do the same exact problem with students. Okay? And we're going to talk to students about when we solve problems using partial products, we're going to go ahead and use the standard algorithm movements. I think this is important to help students understand and link what they're doing in partial products to the standard algorithm later. So we're just going to talk to students and say, okay, I'm going to multiply 6 times 7, and it's just like I did here on the area model. 6 times 7, right? So it's 42. And I'm going to put down 42. I'm not going to regroup anything. I'm just writing the whole value or the whole product right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and write 6 times 7. Uh-oh, this marker's giving up on me too. It must be that means that I need to quit today. All right, so 6 times 7. Oh, that one's nice and bright. It's what we just did. Okay, so we got 42. Then I'm going to talk to them about how the next thing that I'm doing is I'm multiplying 6 times 3. But it's not 6 times 3, it is 6 times 30, because that's 3 tens, and so I'm going to relate it to what we did here on the area model. And we're going to do 6 times 30. I would have students write this out, and we're going to make that 180. Okay, and then we're going to see, oh look, 180, 180, and we're going to make the connection for them if they don't come up with it, that they have been doing partial products all along. They've just been doing it with an array model. Okay. Then we're going to go to our last one, 6 times 400, which once again they've already done here. So 6 times 400 is 2,400. Then they're going to add it all up to 12, 6, 2. So I should get 2,622, and they should see that this 42 matches the partial product 42, 180 matches the partial product 180, and 2,400 matches the partial product 2,400. Okay. then we're going to link it to the standard, or let's do a 2 by 2. We're going to continue with this one. So let's say I have 36 times 53. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and have students, because remember, I want students to be solving these problems 2 ways every time. Okay, this is how we check multiplication. We do not check a multiplication problem with division because our products get into too large of numbers. Okay, and our divisors can be 2-digit, which we don't know, we don't learn how to do that in 4th grade. All right, so I'm going to do my partial products in here. And I should get 1,500, 90, 300, 18, 8, 9, and so I should get 1,908. Okay, so then I'm going to talk to students about, so when I have a 2 by 2 problem and I want to do partial products, I'm going to start with the ones place first and multiply everything I can by the ones place, and then I'm going to move on to the tens place and multiply everything I can by the tens place. Okay, so I used to tell my kids a story where I would say that this 3, he was little brother, and when he went trick-or-treating, he went to the house right across the street, and then he went to the house next door to that house. And that big brother had to follow the same path because he was following little brother. So big brother would go to the house right across from little brother, and then he'd go to the house that little brother went to second. It was just a story. It wasn't a trick or anything like that. Some kids liked it. Nowadays you could use Boy Scouts selling popcorn, Girl Scouts selling cookies, or whatever. Finally, I went to just showing my students symbols or arrows. So I would say, okay, if we're going to multiply by the ones place, we're going to go up and then over. Okay, so I'd say, well, let's do that. 3 times 6. What is 3 times 6? It is 18. And we're just going to put it down. And I would relate it back to here. Look, 3 times 6 is 18. That's what we did on our area model. And then I would say, look, boys and girls, we have 3 times, what is the value of this 3? It is 30. The value of that 3 is 30. So that is 90. And we would relate it to 3 times 30 is 90. Okay. Then I would say, okay, well, we have to follow the same path that the ones place did. So we have to go over and up because we are now finished multiplying by the ones. Now we're multiplying by the tens place of the 53. So if I go over, I'm multiplying 50 times 6, and I can relate that, 50 times 6, and that is 300. And then I'm going to go up, 50 times 30, that's 30, which is what we did here, and that's 1,500. And so then we just add all of our partial products together to get the answer. These two answers match, and I can go through and match my partial products, and I know I've done it. Okay, so that's how I can link the array model to partial products. All right, so now let's look at how I can relate partial products to the standard algorithm. So let's say that I have, I don't know, I hate coming up with numbers. I always seem to use the same ones. So 64 times 29. haven't used 9 yet that I know of. Maybe I have. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do this with partial products, and at the same time I can do it with the standard algorithm. Okay, so we're going to ask students, what is the first thing that I do? I multiply the 9 by 4. 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, so I can come here. 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, but instead of 2 steps, I want to do this in 1 step. I just want one line, a one-line answer for everything that I multiply by the ones place. So instead of writing 36 out in its entirety, because I have 6 ones, I wrote my 6 ones, but now I have 3 tens, so I'm going to put a 3 on top of the 6, okay? And that 3 on top of the 6 tells me that I need to regroup 3 tens. Okay, so far so good. So then we go 9 times 60. Okay, so 9 times 60 is 540. Okay, so we would do the same thing here. What is 9 times 6? We know it's 60, right? I mean 9 times 6, we know, yeah, we know that's 60, so that's 540, 550, 60, 70. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is 9 times 6 is 54, 55, 56, 57. And this is where you have to show students. All I did was take these 2 pieces and I added them together. 6, 7, 5. When I multiply 9 times 64, and sometimes it helps students to cover that up like that. When I multiply 9 times 64, I get 576. Okay? This one, I just broke it out. I kind of decomposed it. Where this one, I don't have a 0 here because I have 6 ones from 9 times 4. Okay? All right, then let me erase this so that we can go back to what we're looking at. So then I'm going to start multiplying by my tens, so we go over and up. So we're going to do 20 times 4, which we know is 80. Now, what I do here to help students is I do something called tick-tack-0. I do tick to get rid of what we've already multiplied. We've already multiplied by the ones place. I do tack to get rid of anything that we have regrouped so we don't get it confused. And then I put a 0 here. I say tick, tack, 0. I don't call it an O, I don't call it an egg or anything like that. I call it a 0. And I ask kids all the time, boys and girls, why do we need to put 0 here as a placeholder? And they tell me because we're now multiplying by 10, and anytime you multiply anything by 10, it ends in a 0. I want them to understand that. They won't forget it if they understand. Okay? So, we're going to come over here and say 2 times 4 is 8. And look at this. 80, 80. Okay? Then we're going to do the rest of our problem, which is 20 times 60, which we know is 120. I don't know why I had to think about that a minute. Oh, 1,200. Sorry about that. See, look. I would have told my boys and girls, guess what, boys and girls? Miss Greer just made a mistake. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to do 2 times 6 is 12. and then we add them together, and I would show them 1,200 plus 80 is 1,280. So when we add them together, we're going to add them on both columns, or both problems. We should get 1,856 for both problems. Okay, and I'm going to do a lot of them that way, so that students start to see how it went from area model, how the area model related to partial products, how the partial products relate to the standard algorithm. Okay, and we're going to do practice. Remember, students in 4th grade do not have to know how to multiply using the standard algorithm. So do not push it. If every time you do a multiplication problem, you always do the standard algorithm, they are going to know that that is the one that you value the most. Every single one of them are accurate ways to multiply. Sometimes this is going to be more accurate and efficient for students than this is going to be. It depends on their skill level, their understanding of regrouping, and sometimes their understanding of the multiplication facts. Okay, so we have about, I think we do, let me look here, we do 2 days or 3 days talking about partial products, and then we do 3 days of talking about the standard algorithm. Remember, when I'm doing partial products, I'm also doing area model. When I'm doing standard algorithm, I'm also doing the partial products method. Then we have about 2 days where students get to practice whatever multiplication strategy that they want to use. They've been introduced to them all now. Our goal is to get them efficient and accurate with one of these strategies. Please do not put little Tommy in a group, for small group, for 4 weeks in a row because he can't multiply using the standard algorithm, but he can multiply using partial products or the area model. We cannot do that. That is frustrating him because he has found a method to multiply efficiently and accurately for them, and that is what the TEKS say. In 5th grade, students will continue their understanding of multiplication and be required to use the standard algorithm at that time. All right, so that is it for our multiplication strategies. In the next video we will talk about multiplication word problems. See you next time.